Hey y'all, what's happening? Chinese here, also known as China L. Colston, actress and indie filmmaker. So today I'm here with Brad Stevens. We're about to do another film reaction Zoom collab for the classic comedy film Tootsie, starring Dustin Hoffman, Jessica Lange, and directed by the one and only Sidney Pollack. It was released in 1982, set in New York. And it is also starring Dabney Coleman, Charles Durning, Bill Murray, Sidney Pollack directed it, and he also starred in it, or co-starred in it. Gina Davis, Doris Balik, George Gaines, Lynn Thigpen, who's from Chicago, and she's, I think, a Tony Award-winning actress or a Tony-nominated actress. She was also in Lean on Me. She played a mean parent in Lean on Me, but she was a wonderful actress, and she passed away. But she's from Chi-Town, like Brad and myself, so I want to shout her out. So Tootsie is written by, I'm looking at it on IMDb here. This is Tootsie. The screenwriters are Don McGuire, story by Don McGuire. Screenwriters are Don McGuire, Larry Gilbert, and it says others. So, and let me read what the synopsis says per IMDb. Michael Dorsey, played by Dustin Hoffman, an unsuccessful actor, disguises himself as a woman in order to get a role on a trashy hospital soap opera. So Brad, go ahead and let's tell the people your name and what your specialties are and things like that, and then we can get into it.
What's going on, y'all? My name is Brad Stevens. I'm an actor who writes and directs, also a teacher, love work with young people. And let's see about the film. Well, first of all, I forgot that I don't think I've actually saw the film since I saw it, like back in the day, like 1982. Right. I don't think I actually saw the film all the way through. And so it was good seeing it again. I forgot that Sidney Pollack had directed it, and I forgot that he had also directed another one of my favorite films, 3 Days of the Condor. Right. That's another classic joint. He was a really good actor, I feel, really good actor and a really good director.
I agree. Yeah. He really was. Go ahead.
Yeah, they're just saying that first and foremost. But I guess my first question for you, at the top of the film, how did you feel about the acting experience? How the acting life was depicted for Dustin Hoffman and his roommate Bill Murray?
First of all, I love this film. I think this film is like perfection.
Yeah.
I mean, the cinematography was, was standard. It wasn't anything special about the cinematography, but outside of that, everything else was just like perfection to me. I love the sequence of Dustin Hoffman he was an actor and an acting teacher. So I love how it
right.
Yes, I love how the movie opened up with a dolly shot of a trucking shot of like in a dressing room with like wigs and things that you put on beards and glue and nails and all those things that we have to put on to prepare for a role, whether predominantly in theater or in film and television. But it was foreshadowing what he would be wearing later on in the film. I love how it introduced us as Dustin Hoffman auditioning theater.
Right.
All those different crazy characters he had to audition for, and then so it would intercut between him auditioning as an actor and him teaching the craft of acting to his adult students, which included Terry Garr as one of the principal students, one of the students. What I thought was hilarious was, how he played a little boy, as a grown man, and I love one of the scenes I loved in that sequence of him auditioning was when he was delivering his lines, and he's like, excuse me, is my acting interrupting your talking? I mean, everything. This scene was everything. And then another scene, another audition sequence that the actor Michael Dorsey, aka Dustin Hoffman, has. I'll just keep calling him Dustin Hoffman, so people know who I'm talking about. But his character name is Michael Dorsey. Another sequence of him auditioning was or rehearsing. So it was him auditioning, rehearsing, and teaching. But one scene in the beginning of the movie where he was like rehearsing a play with three other supporting actors. And there was a British director, and the British director was like, I need you to walk to the center stage or stage left. Like, you want me to walk? Like, the character's dying, but you want me to walk? And he was like, I know it feels uncomfortable or something like that, but you know, the people can't see you house right or whatever. And he was like, why? He's like, because you need to do it. But why? Because I said so. He's like, that's not enough. And then he stormed off the stage. Hilarious. I mean, it was so true to life. And then the other scene, sorry we're taking over, but it's so, I just love the movie. The other scene was when they was like, he was auditioning, like, we need somebody taller. He's like, oh, I can be taller. Well, we need somebody shorter. Well, I can be shorter. I'm wearing lips. Well, we need somebody. He's like, well, I can be that too. He's like, we want somebody else.
Yeah. I like that part. And I'll focus in on that because, like, being an actor, being an artist, the rejection, and especially being older, the times where somebody says something like, you have like little less tolerance for bullshit. You know what I'm saying? More and more able, and to speak your mind in a respectful form and fashion, right? So that's why it really resonated with me, without a doubt. And another thing, moving on, what jumped out, sometimes small things jump out to me. And you being in New York, maybe you may have a better idea. But when they had his birthday party, and they were back at his apartment with Bill Murray, I was like, damn, that's a big ass apartment. To me, the apartment seemed big. They had a piano. I said, I wonder how much they're paying for that apartment, and they're struggling actors, right?
But remember, it's 1982.
Well, I know it's 1982, but I can imagine that whatever they were making would have been comfortable to whatever the time period for the expenses would have been. So even though, the cost of money, whatever might have been different, that the cost of living might have still been similar, at a lower scale based on what they were making. I was wondering.
Where they were living, because she's like, it'll be easier for me to get robbed. So I think they were even living in because certain parts of New York was really sketchy. So the rent was low. So
yeah, no doubt. Right. But nothing that I liked. I mean, I love story. I mean, I thought it was a well done story. I thought the dialogue was on point. It was this really great story. Real quick, how would you characterize it? Because I was thinking, well, is it like a fish out of water type of story? Because a lot of times I was wondering if a fish out of water type of story is something where the person finds themselves in a situation they're not used to, as opposed to putting themselves in a situation. You know what I'm saying? So I was kind of wondering what exactly, because he basically put himself in this situation, right? But I thought that was fantastic, looking at the theme of it, and I love the parallel. So it was like a parallel between when he was trying to get with Jessica Lange character, and talk about how dirty. I forget the dude who played her love interest. The other dude, he was a good actor too. I'm blanking on his real name. The director,
Dabney Coleman.
Right. Yeah. How he was kind of, he had like an ill will towards him because he was doing Jessica Lange wrong, but he was doing the same thing, maybe not consciously, to Terry Carr. Egging her on, leading her on, so on and so forth. Not really, oh, that's right, I had dinner with her because she was like a distant thought. Right. And so he was doing the very same thing to her, whether he intended to or not. That dude was doing it Jessica Lange. And I like that parallel, the idea of that these characters were flawed human beings, even though they were trying to do their best in some aspect, they were still flawed human beings, which is always kind of fun to watch.
Yeah. What I appreciated there are many things I appreciate about this story, but one of the things I appreciated was that it established how Dustin Hoffman's character was a very fine actor.
Right.
He took the craft very seriously. He was willing to share his knowledge with other students, with adult students, by teaching. He was patient with them. He challenged them. He challenged himself.
Right.
And he was an asshole. He was also like he was also very demanding, but he just demanded respect. He demanded respect of the
Right.
craft, and in doing so, he was a little anal at times.
Yeah.
Um, I think that to me, I deem this an underdog story because at the top of the film, his agent, played by Sidney Pollack, who was also the director, was like, nobody will hire you because of your attitude, not because of your skill set, because your
Yeah.
damn attitude. Like he's like using logic, but you should use logic, but they're kind of like, well, just it's almost like to me, well, just do what we say. And I think
Right.
Dustin Hoffman's character is like, no, I'm not a monkey. I'm an actor. I have to analyze a script, analyze a character. Don't talk to me like I'm a child, like I'm not
Right.
intelligent, that I'm only reciting lines somebody else wrote. No, there's an analysis that go into this characterization. And you will
Yeah.
respect what my analysis and my interpretation. Now, could he have handled it a little different? Yes, but then he wouldn't be himself, right?
Right. Right.
So he had to grow, and I don't think he became more sensitive in how he spoke to. I think he became more sensitive as he interacted with Jessica Lange because he was attracted to her, and he actually, I don't want to minimize him to just being attracted to her. He actually liked her person, right?
Right.
So his interaction with her is what led to his character metamorphosis, character arc to me. What are your thoughts about that?
I think that as well, and maybe I'm reading into it, and I'm thinking maybe he also realized how this one action impacts so many other people. You know what I'm saying? How this one action not only impacted Jessica Lange, but how it impacted her father, who liked Dustin Hoffman or liked
Which
the
action? Which
woman.
action, Brad?
Yeah, the attraction, huh?
Which action? Tell the audience which action are you
The
referring
the
to?
action. I'm sorry, the action that in the movie. Yeah, because the movie's over 30 years old. You should have saw it by now, right? The action Jessica Lange's father falls for, becomes attracted to Dustin Hoffman's character, not knowing that he's actually a man. And so Dustin Hoffman has to try to push that off and let him down easy because she really liked him. So, and I think that was a consequence he didn't really think about. And then the same thing with Terry Garr, the impact, he was so focused on, falling for Jessica Lange, they didn't realize what his actions had, the impact that it had on her. And along those lines, I was wondering, can I like to ask a question, what the relationship might have been after the camera stops rolling, like in my own mind, you know what I'm saying? The post story. So I like to play out like how long did the relationship last, Jessica Lange and Dustin Hoffman? And what was the sense like with Terry Garr? Because, they were friends, they became involved romantically. He kind of dogged, kind of played around. And then on top of that, he took a job she had auditioned for, right? And he killed it. So it's like adding insult to injury, right? Because I don't think even if she had got that role, that she would have had the same success he would have had. You know what I'm saying?
He was the better actor. That's just what it
Right.
is. He was the
Yeah.
more seasoned actor, and he was the better actor, period. And also too, I really appreciate that the Terry Garr character was like Sandy. The character's name is Sandy, but Terry Garr, how she had difficulty conveying anger in her characterizations.
Right.
But as time progressed, she had no difficulty conveying anger to Dustin Hoffman's character, right? When he pissed her off, she could convey it, but she couldn't tap into that as an actress. So I
Right.
like
Right.
the dichotomy of that, as like when you need to tap into that anger, you don't use it as an actress. You only use it in your real life. But I think that experience with Dustin Hoffman's character, I think by the end of the movie, she will know how to use that anger as a character and not just in her personal life.
No doubt. I think with the sense, like to your point, the sense that as sometimes as an actor, you try to get into a role and the character may be a little bit distant as you get into it. But with the sense that that her anger may not have been connected to the character because she may not have totally believed in the character. But with Dustin Hoffman, this shit was real. You did me dirty. And it's like, you motherfucker, even though she didn't curse, right? That anger was real because, you know, now the situation is real and the stakes are real as hell. You mess around with my heart. And so it was, I had to see a character go through that, but it was real to see that actual emotion come out, you know. And then real quick, you know, little things like human nature of jealousy, you know, jealousy that comes into play sometimes. The way like Terry Garb, how she was talking about Dustin Hoffman's character before she knew it was Dustin Hoffman. Like, it's kind of like this motherfucker, you know what I'm saying? This motherfucker, right? And then the reaction, like when the big reveal, which we could talk about, and she realized it was Dustin Hoffman, like, holy, like her reaction. I mean, I just thought it was well done.
It was well done. There's another component. Oh, we have to talk. One of my favorite scenes in the film. I mean, basically all of them, but one of my favorite top scenes in the film is at the top of the film, the interaction between Dustin Hoffman's character and Sydney Pollack's character. Sydney Pollack played Dustin Hoffman's talent agent.
Right.
And that very first scene between the two, he reveals how Dustin Hoffman acts like an asshole when he auditioned for people, when he's in production with people, whether it be television or theater or film, and how he's like, nobody wants to work with you in New York. He's like, are you telling me nobody in all of New York wants to work with me? He's like, no, that's too limited. Nobody in Hollywood wants to work with you. I mean, it was just like so funny. He's like, because you argue with people about the tomato don't walk or the tomato can't walk, or who cares? Just do the job. And
right.
And how he was saying like nobody will work with you, but it was great because Dustin Hoffman is like, nobody will work with me. I can't get a job. It put fire under Dustin Hoffman's belly where he was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna prove you wrong. I'm gonna prove you wrong. I can get hired here in New York.
Yeah.
And that's when he found out that, you know, his Sandy, that's when he went after the role that Terry Garb was going for, the woman who was like she was like strong and forthright, you know, for the hospital character role. And he was like, I'm gonna prove that somebody will hire me. And he ended up, you know, putting on the drag and all that to play this character. And why that scene, I love the very scene after he says, oh, nobody will hire me. Nobody will hire you, Dustin Hoffman. And then very next scene, he's walking down the street of New York wearing the wig and the glasses and the makeup. And I love that. Shout out to the editor, because it went from nobody will hire you to him walking down the street and he goes into audition and he kills it. But to me, it's like the Dustin Hoffman character brought he's naturally a fire character. Like, he's a fiery person, the character. And so he brought the fire to the woman character he was auditioning for.
Right.
So I feel like the Dustin Hoffman was in that character and he just put on an accent. And I just thought that was just so genius. You know how,
yeah.
And how they kept, and then when he auditioned for the director, he talked to the directors like, you know, I'm sorry, you're just not, because he smiled at the director and like, oh, I'm sorry, you're just not good for the role because you're a little bit too genteel. We need somebody with like power and strength. And then he's like, you know, I'll kick your balls out. And then the senior writer producer came over and said, hold on a second. When he walked to the elevator, was that an act or was that you? And he's like, well, which answer would give me the job?
Right.
The writing was everything.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And what another thing I like is one of the type of things where on the one end, there's nothing new under the sun to a degree.
Sure.
With great storytelling, and so it was the sense that where we know that eventually he's going to get found out. You know, like it was kind of like seeing two trains collide. You know this is going to happen. It's like watching the movie Titanic. You know the ship's going to fucking sink, right? But that being the case, I haven't seen the film in a while. The payoff was still dynamic for me. That monologue, well, I think starting off with that that last scene where Jessica Lange says, "I can't see you anymore," basically, essentially, which led him to kind of give that final monologue. And then that last monologue, even though you know what's going to happen, when he takes off the wig and pulls off, to me, that payoff was magical. It was like boom. It was just, and that, I'm not gonna say that made the film, but it really brought the film home. Because if the payoff had felt flat, then the movie was like, but the payoff paid off, and you knew it was coming, right? You knew it was coming, which I thought was great.
Yeah, I just the journey that the Dustin Hoffman character had to take. Again, his interaction with Jessica Lange, who he started to fall in love with, spending a lot of time with her, helping her grow as an actress. And it was interesting to see how when she was when they were on set, on the soap opera set, and Jessica you saw the growth. She got a little bit more ballsy as a character. Right. And the whole crew and the whole cast started clapping for her after a take. And she's like, that's because of Dustin. She didn't say Dustin Hoffman, whatever his name is. That's because, he helped. He's like, no, that was you. And the director noticed the accolades that Jessica Lange's character was giving to Dustin Hoffman for the acting tips he was giving her. And the director was getting jealous. You notice it, Brad? Okay, he's like, enough of the accolades.
Yeah.
So he was starting to get jealous because I think, Dustin Hoffman, again, he was an acting teacher, so he knew his ish, and he improved everybody. He improved everybody around him.
Hey, real quick, did you see the cameo by Sophia from the Golden Girls? She was in it.
I did, and Felicia Rashad.
Oh, I missed Felicia Rashad.
Yes,
I thought it was dope. Yeah, and I'm blanking on her name. The other actress, I'm looking for a name right now. She passed away a number of years ago. She played Where's Carmen San Diego. She played like the assistant editor or something like that on the film. The black woman. I'm trying to break her.
Oh, that's her name. Lynn Thigpen.
Yeah. It was good seeing her too. Yeah.
She was, and you know what? Let's talk about Lynn Thigpen. She had a role in TOOTSIE whereby she was the assistant stage manager or stage manager. So she would say, and 3, 2, 1, right? So she worked close with the director. I loved her acting, was so nuanced and impactful and memorable.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. How you whatever role you have, is as long as you do the background work, the backstory, you're gonna be memorable, and impactful in your interpretation.
Oh, no doubt. It's like your sense. Well, I may talk a little bit about technique, but it's like the sense that I like the idea that the character may have a small role in the film, but approach it from the standpoint that this is my film. You know what I'm saying? That I have a backstory, so on and so forth. And it's like you're just taking a certain segment, and it caught this segment, but quite possibly Lynn Thigpen's character has a whole movie going on that we're not aware of. You know what I'm saying? And this is a part of the movie, but she's the star of her movie. I like that idea of approaching it like that, and I think that adds a certain depth. Oh yeah, and I think you mentioned that she was from Joliet, Illinois, man.
She's from Illinois. Okay.
Yeah, Joliet. Yeah.
And I there are so many great scenes. I love the arc that the Dustin Hoffman's character take. Like, he became more considerate. All this to me was a result of his interactions with Jessica Lange, who he fell in love with, or who he had to act like she was just a friend because he was playing a woman. And so Jessica Lange's impression was she was acting with a woman actress, acting with a woman. Right. And of course it was Dustin Hoffman. And like because at first he was kind of, when he had a birthday party, when Bill Murray, his roommate, surprised him with a birthday party. I think he was in his 40s too. And Terry Garr was like, look at this cute little baby. She's so cute. He's like, He's so busy talking about this craft of acting and the business of acting. He's not even paying attention to baby. He was very like, I have one focus, that is acting. I don't care about children. I don't care about, if it's not about acting, I don't want to talk about it, right? Or if it's not, I remember he was trying to raise money for his roommate, Bill Murray, was his roommate, play. Yeah, some play about people move, canal, love, or whatever. And but the thing was, So Dustin Hoffman had two goals, right? His first goal, well, the biggest goal was to book a job because he said he hadn't worked pretty much, I guess, consistent like 20 years. He hadn't worked because of his attitude, right? He hadn't worked, but he was just teaching. And then, but also he had a goal. He had a small goal of raising money to pay for his roommate's play, Bill Murray's play, so that he could star in the play,
Right.
as would Terry Garr be in the play. So when he booked the role of Tootsie, he was able to pay for the production of the play. But then he got so good, the audience, they started to love him. He started getting so much fan mail. He was like the most popular character in soap opera. And then
Right.
the year had progressed, and then the owner or the senior writer was like, "We want to extend your contract for another year," and he was like he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it for another year because I guess he's a character actor, so he doesn't want to do the same character for a whole year, and he doesn't want to play a woman. Put on a character of a woman for an entire year. Like he had met his goal. He had proved that he could book a role, pay for the play, so he was done with it. But then his agent was like, "Well, no, you got to keep it going because this is, because if you get paid as his agent's getting paid."
Right.
But he was just tired of. He was over it. He had proven he could do it, and he did it. And now he's like, "I want to move on." What were your thoughts?
I think it's that. And I think I think it was that. And I think also I can only imagine that would be exhausting. That, keeping that up and trying to keep it hidden for so many people would just be exhausting for even a week for me, let alone a month, let alone a year going on 2 years, So I think that's part of it too. One thing that got me thinking, like anything else, you're looking at pieces in the time in which they were shot. So looking at the birthday scene, the birthday party, and a lot of people, they were like, hugging, touchy feeling, like, damn. Like if I was in a situation like that today, there's a part of me that would be like, can I give you a hug? I would want to ask permission because there's so much shit going on. You know what I'm saying? And it was a part where I don't remember. He was talking to some actress and he just kind of grabbed her blouse, kind of close to her breast. I said, some people would be freaking the fuck out today if that would have happened. You just like, you're looking at things based on the time period in which it was shot. But I thought it was interesting that they included a scene where he was fighting off the dude who came towards him thinking he was a woman. Right. His arm wanted, he didn't want those advances. And he kind of mentioned, it's not funny about getting raped. He mentioned that something like that in the next scene talking to Bill Murray.
Yeah. So I'll elaborate. So there's this. Oh, go ahead, Brad. Sorry.
Oh, no. You got it.
I was so referencing what Brad was saying. So there was a scene. One of the actors in the soap opera that Dustin Hoffman was in was an old man. That's what it was. He was an old man, old actor. He had been in a soap opera since the beginning of time, and he had begun to become attracted to Dustin Hoffman's character, thinking that the character was a woman, and he was known as the tongue because he's always tongue kissing the actresses, even though the script may not call for it. Anyway, he began to have feelings for Dustin Hoffman's character, and he followed Dustin Hoffman home. And then he started singing, and Dustin Hoffman let him up, like, "I'll give you a drink," and he's like, "Dustin, I really like you, really love you," whatever the character's name. And the man tried to have sex with him and was almost, it seemed like he was about to rape him because Dustin kept rejecting him, and he kept trying to. Dustin is in drag, of course, all is. And Bill Murray happened to come home from work or wherever, and that's when it was abruptly stopped. But Dustin made mention that, like, rape is a very serious matter, and so in that moment, Dustin understood what it was like to be a woman when a man overpowers you and tried to basically rape you, even though you've said no repeatedly. So I thought that was a very important scene. That was a very important scene to bring up and to address the culture of rape.
Right. No doubt.
It was very smart of them.
Yeah, and like speaking of Bill Murray's character, and like sometimes you meet some people like this, but that part in the kitchen, we just talk about his play, and like, man, Cause I'm all about the craft. I'm all about breaking things down and storytelling. But he has some people like he just talking this flower. Yeah, I would want this. Man, shut the fuck up. You know, it's like it is overly flowery, man. It's going out there, and there were people hanging on this very word, like it was so deep. It was kind of like he ain't talking about shit. He just talking shit.
You know what? I'm so like, I love that scene. I'm so glad you brought it up, Brad. I knew you would notice that scene. You
Right.
know, it was just like, oh, you know, when people come to my play, because his character's a playwright. People come to my
Right.
play and they're like, man, I was really moved by your play. It's like, I don't like that. You know, I want people when it rained. It's like, man, shut up. It was just, but that's real. Some writers are so full of
Right.
themselves as it
No
relates
doubt.
to storytelling. Like, you can't control how people react to your play.
Right.
Why would you want to?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I thought that was, go ahead.
No, you know what else I forgot? I forgot that what's my man's name? I'm blanking on this name. The artist who did no, he did a cameo. The artist who did the soup cans and stuff like that. He had like a cameo during the
let me see. He should be on IMDb as well. Let me see.
I can't forget. I can't believe I forgot his name. But I forgot. I thought he had passed away earlier, and then now 82 is like a long time ago. That's like a long time ago. But I thought he had passed away before that. I said, oh man, that's right. He was still. I forgot he was in the movie. He was still alive at that point in time.
Oh, okay. Yes, I can't recall his name either for some reason, and it's not showing up here, which is really odd because you would think, you know, he's such a popular artist, New York artist.
Right.
Yeah, but it was just that movie. I also, what I love about watching that movie, to me, it's like, as an actor, you know, to see a movie, because I don't think there are that many movies that reflect the actor's life, the actor's journey, right? There aren't many movies out. You would think there'd be more movies about it, but there aren't. So,
right. Yeah.
You know, it's the craft of acting classes and the auditions we have to not endure, but the auditions we go on, the productions we're in, and like the tit for tat we have with the director or a producer or an agent, and like, you know, the intricacies of that world, and like being unemployed for some time as an actor, and rejected. I mean, that's
to get a rejection. Yeah.
The rejection is real, folks. It's real. Like,
right.
But you know that going in the game.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said before, there's something like we talked about this before. I love seeing performances where it's just like a nakedness. Now I don't know what the actors themselves may be thinking, but it feels like to me as a viewer, like there's a nakedness on stage that, you know, I'm concerned about this character and playing off the other person. I'm not concerned about what the other person, what the audience may be thinking, trying to impress them. I'm trying to live moment to moment. And there was one scene, like kind of like a throwaway scene that kind of jumped out to me, oddly enough. It was one scene, I think it was when it was a scene where Dustin Hoffman was running across the street. And I think he was running across the street to his agent's office. He was ticked off about something. And just the focus he had in that simple run, you know what I'm saying, that you could tell, no words, just his action. Okay, this is some serious shit. I got to get to the bottom. Whatever the fuck is going on, right? And I love moments like that, you know, of that. Like it was like I said, nakedness on stage of, you know, of technique and just focus that I thought was really dope.
Yeah, and honestly too, I thought when Dustin Hoffman's interacted with the Michael Nicholas character, I'm sorry, not Michael Nicholas, with Sidney Pollack character who played his who directed the film, who also played his agent. When Dustin Hoffman had just booked the role, the soap opera role of the woman character, and he was like, you know what a Russian tea room is? And, you know, they were literally standing in front of the Russian tea room, the agent and Dustin, and then his agent went inside the Russian tea room and sat down, and Dustin Hoffman came right behind him and sat next to him as the woman character. And he fooled his own agent. He's like, see, I told you I could book the role. He's like, are you crazy? I told you to get help. He's like, you said I couldn't get hired, but I got hired.
Yeah.
And it was such it was such a moment of triumph, right?
Yeah.
When somebody tell you you cannot achieve a certain goal and you go and prove them wrong, It's
Yeah.
everything.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Now here's a question. It may be different this times. Would you, if you were on set in the world of the play, in the world of the screenplay, would you have thought that Dustin Hoffman was a woman? Or would you have thought it was a man?
Me, because I always look at the jawline, I would have known him as a man.
Right. Okay. All right. 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 Yeah.
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 Yeah. That's cool.
But you know, it was funny, speaking of that, because remember the senior writer, producer, and the camera crew, every time they'd be like, I'm moving for a close up. Don't move in too close. Because they were trying to say she's an unattractive woman actress, but
right.
in fact,
Yeah.
which I thought was so smart writing. It's like, don't give a close up because she's unattractive, but on the low, it was smart from the directing point because you can tell that it's a man. If you have,
right.
if there's a close up, because again, men have like a more square. And this artist told me, he's an illustrator. I said, what's the difference between a man and a woman's face, generally speaking? And he said that men faces are more like square, and women have more oval. Women have more oval, round faces. And I was like, wow. And an illustrator would know this because they're always, they do portraitures and things like that. I was like, oh, that is an interesting distinction.
What's funny? You were just
from the Adam's apple.
Right. You were just saying that, and I was looking at myself in my Zoom profile. And before you said that, like, man, I got like a square head. And then you said, man's head more square. Like, right on cue.
Yeah. And it's funny how Dustin Hoffman was like, you know what, because he was going to help Sandy, Jessica Lange with her lines. And he was all like, he's like, I just want to look pretty for her. It was so funny. But he was like, well, while Bill Murray was trying to help him out, find something to wear. And he was like, well, why don't you wear these pants? No, because it makes my hip look wide. And he started talking like a woman, like we talk about our hips and our butt and our waistline. So he started using the same language that we use. I thought was hilarious. And Dustin Hoffman did a magnificent job to me, portraying the essence of the character's attitude.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because he had a similar attitude. Like he had a lot of integrity. He was very frank, which was the core of that character he was playing.
Right.
And he knows how to do really good accents, of course. Put a lot, and how he started shaving his legs, and he would literally get up at like 4 hours before and he said the reason, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place, but generally speaking, when you're in a production, whether it be theater, film, or television, they'll have a makeup person and a wardrobe person. But his out was, I told him I have an allergy, so I have to put my own makeup on. Right. And so he would always come to the location dressed with makeup ready. And then actually when his love interest, Jessica Lange, was like, why do you wear so much makeup? And he's like, oh, I have what did you say? Like I have like a beard or
like mustache, something like that.
I like mustache issue, which is I'm talking writing. She's like, well, some men like women with a little with facial hair. He's like, yeah, but those are the men I'm not attracted to. I just thought that was just so funny. But he became very sensitive and considerate the more he spent time with Jessica Lange's character, because he liked her, and she was sharing things that we as women share with each other about our interactions with men. And so he had an inside scoop because he's acting like a woman. So she's sharing things she would ordinarily share with another man.
Yeah, I thought it was funny the scene where they showed up at the dinner party together. And like the previous scene, Jessica Lange said, well, I wish a man would just do X, Y, Z.
Right.
And Dustin Hoffman showed up and he tried to do X, Y, Z. And she threw the drink in his face. Oh, man.
So what do you think the writer was trying to say based on those two scenes? That women say that, but we don't really mean it?
Well, that too. But I think a lot of people do that. A lot of people do that. Say something, but then they really don't want X, Y, Z. So I think it was that. And I think it was also like the depths that Dustin Hoffman would go to, you know, because it was almost something that was kind of voyeuristic about it, and that he was in her house, in her space, under like in disguise, and then he used like this very intimate moment to try to get some type of gain in his real life, right? And it backfired, right? And it backfired. It's kind of like this sense, okay, well, maybe in a way, is that like a small sign of indicating that the whole thing's going to backfire? It's going to be like a big drink thrown in your face, which to a degree it was. But you know, he ideally he got the girl. He got the girl. And like I said, just asking questions after the credits stop rolling, and it's up to imagination. How long do you think the relationship lasted afterwards? You think they went out a couple months? Did they get married? How long do you think it lasted?
Well, you have to be careful with me because I'm a hopeful romantic. So
Yeah.
you have to, you know, I don't know if you should be asking me. I think they sustained the relationship because, like she said, and he said, they became friends, and that is as after school special as it sound. It's true. If you start out on a strong, well, they started out on deception, but they began to form a relationship under the guise that he was a woman, right? So they had
Right.
already had a shared, like they had formed a strong foundation of friendship, right?
Right.
So once you have, and she was attracted to him, he was attracted to her. I think from there
Right.
it was nothing else to hide, right? Everything was out in the open.
Right. No
They
doubt.
enjoyed
No
each
doubt.
other's
Yeah. Yeah.
company. They both love acting, and he will understand, like, you know, her time schedule, because she was saying that the reason she was single for the most part is because, you know, she has to go to bed at 9 o'clock, be up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Like, her schedule is crazy because of her acting career, but he would understand that acting
Right.
career. So I think it would. I think they would have sustained their relationship. What about you?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Cause look at little things. I wonder, well, like, did he get a job? Did he book another job afterwards? You know what I'm saying? Or was that the end of his career? And like, if he booked a different job, then his schedule would be hectic, hellified too. Um, Suno, you know me, I'm kind of like Mr. Social Butterfly, free spirit, right? So I think maybe it lasted for a couple months, 6 months. But then again, maybe I think it's great that maybe to think that maybe they got married. Maybe they got married and it worked out. I wonder, like, for example, if big picture, if like his height would be an issue, because I think she was a little bit taller than him, right? Even in her stocking feet. I mean, it's little things I look at and wonder about.
Yeah.
Right. You know how sometimes women say they
Oh
like a
yes,
man who's taller than them.
that's me.
Right.
That's me. If you're my height, you have no chance. You're gonna be you're
Right.
gonna become a friend immediately.
Right. It's the same height. And I also wonder what that first interaction was the next time he saw Terry Garr after all this shit. What that interaction was like. Was it friendly? Was it more hostile? I thought that was a really great um relationship. You know, and backtracking, like I said, you know, every character is flawed. It was kind of sense. I mean, I want to do it. I want to get this guy. I want to get this guy to do anything that it takes. And it was kind of manipulative how they ended up having sex. You know what I'm saying? Because he was trying to make a cover for what he was doing, as opposed to just saying, you know, well, I'm coming clean. You know, I'm looking at playing this role as a woman by Skippy. You know, it was a whole story he came up with that ended up, you know, hurting her heart, breaking her heart. In other words, yeah.
But even to speak to the Terry Garn character who auditioned for the same role that Dustin Hoffman ended up getting, although she was a woman, although he was a man. Even Dustin Hoffman was expressing this when he was teaching acting to the adult students.
Right.
And I feel this way too. Like, I don't care how talented you are. There are certain characters that your palette cannot bring full life to.
Oh yeah, no
There's
doubt.
an essence about you that will, regardless of your skill set, because like the Terry Garr character, she didn't have that what that character possessed at the core, she did not possess it,
Right.
or she was unwilling to convey it, or she wasn't mature enough as an actress to convey that type of strength, resilience of the character that Dustin Hoffman in
Right.
a booking, right? So the idea of like, oh, I can
Yeah.
if I can play any character well, I don't think that is true.
Yeah, me neither. I think there's certain things that some people may have like bigger chops in terms of a range they could play.
Mhm.
But I do believe the idea that as an actor, you're playing different characters, but you're bringing yourself to the character, and there's going to be certain characters that your energy and your essence just boom, just resonates more with than other characters. I mean, just the nature of the beast. Like a lot of great singers, but every singer may not be able to sing every song. You know what I'm saying? Saying like the things, the same similar thing.
Yeah, that's what I was, and I was just so glad to hear, because I'm like, I know I'm not crazy, but I feel, because I've had an experience where I cast someone and their essence really didn't match. Um, there was something in their essence that prevented them from fully realizing the character throughout their journey. And
Right,
so, because I was basing, oh, well, this actor is a really good actor, but that's not sufficient sometimes.
right, right,
Your essence has to match that character's essence.
right. You know what? Just as a side note, I was reading an article on Regina King. I get Regina King, Regina Hall messed up. Regina King, who just
I know.
directed One Night in Miami, right?
Yes, yes.
And she was saying how she had people audition for the roles, and there were like a few prominent actors who wanted to be in the film, but they refused to audition for the role, even though, and she said she couldn't allow her friendship to
Oh,
get in the way of casting the film. And so she just went on. So that's where there were a lot of actors that some people may not know as well, even though I recognize a number of the actors who were in it. And part of it was that they didn't want to audition, and I totally get that. There's plenty of things. Yeah, I was reading that on it might have been on IMDb or some article I was reading it in. And no doubt, there's plenty of times where like I'm shooting a film. Okay, cool. You want to be in it? If I know the person well enough and know the skill set. But then I don't have an issue at all with audition for somebody,
mhm.
film or production, for that very reason. You may be tight with somebody. It's much like, for example, doing a cold read, right? There's certain people, and I'm not just saying it because we're talking together, who I will call first, because even though the reader's not on screen, you need a strong reader. So if I'm doing something, I will call you up. I'll call up Harold. I'll ask my sister. And there's other people who are my good friends that turns out they weren't the strongest reader, right? And it had an impact. You still got to break it no matter what as an actor. But long story short, yeah, everybody cannot freak every role. That's just the nature of the beast.
That's a good point you raised, and this is still, all this is connected to the Tootsie, because you're right. Like, when you are asked to participate in a reading, like, one, bring your fucking A game. Don't be
Right,
fucking relaxed. Don't literally read. We want you to act.
right,
And I feel like sometimes I've had readings, I'm like, are you serious right now?
right. Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you're not gonna live. You're just gonna literally read. Like, I can literally read a script myself. I don't. If I hire you, I want you, or if I ask you to do a reading, I want you to actually read it and be believable as an actor. Don't just read the fucking line. So
Right.
yeah, yeah. So you're right. There, you can't call anybody to. And some people just that's not. There's not the. It's not their strength to be
Yeah.
readers. But
Right.
it's also, I mean, when you do a reading, that's really like an audition, low key.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And when you stick up the
Right.
play, if you suck, if you be chilling, if you chilling you at a virtual reading, just know that you will not get hired by that person. Just know that.
Right. You know what? What else? Real quick, what I like, what I liked about Dustin Hoffman's character, and I like to say I still had that fire, maybe a little bit differently, being a little bit older. I like the sense that, okay, this is what I want to do. Because even though I'm 50 years old, I want to do this on a grand enough scale, make a living. This is my passion. And I like the boldness. It takes a certain degree of boldness to say, you know what, I'm gonna go, like you were saying earlier, I'm gonna put on a dress, I'm gonna go at this shit, I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna do something bold. I like that boldness because sometimes to do certain things, like you need a degree of boldness. Like, for example, I mean, just honking my own horn. When I first graduated from DePaul, me and some people, we would crash auditions, equity auditions. We weren't equity. I would get there early and, to be the first person in line. Right. And the equity people would go in first, but then they would start letting in the non-equity. And I remember like one time I was downtown, I saw this fellow actor say, they have an auditions for ABC pilots, and you can only get there through your agent. My agent didn't call, but I just happened to have my headshot, whatever, and I rolled up there, right? And I got aside and I read, and they said, "What agency sent you in?" I said, "Well, I just crashed." He said, "Well, you know what? You shouldn't do that because your agent didn't send you over, but you were really good, right?" And I like that idea that sometimes to accomplish great things, you got to be willing to take those risks. You got to go balls, ovaries to the wall and go after shit. And that was something that I loved about Dustin Hoffman's character. He had that intensity about what he wanted to do.
You know what? That's a good point, Brad. Too. I think that's what I like most of all about. There's many things, but I like that most of all about his character is that he was very determined. He had mad confidence in his abilities. He was very. He had such an in-depth understanding of the craft and how to apply the craft clearly, right? We saw it in his teaching, we saw it in his auditions, we saw it in his rehearsals. He didn't, I mean, everybody has limitations, let's be 100, right? But he still had he had such a massive canvas, a palette to deliver all these wonderful characters that he had booked. And honestly, I think that's why I love the scene where him and his agent, Sidney Pollack, are going back and forth. Your attitude, I just can't, I'm trying to be patient with you and nobody will hire you. And the very next scene is him walking down the street as the character. And then he goes in and he books the role and he wows everybody. He wows the crew, the senior writer, producer. He wows everybody. But it was like, I'm going to prove you wrong. And in proving you wrong, you really, because you don't know if he had a little doubt, but he's like, no, what, I'm going to do it. And at the core, I need a job. I'm an actor.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah.
And I'm going to do it.
Right. Yeah.
Remember there was an exchange between him and his agent after he had booked the show and he was getting all his fan mail, and he started to almost feel like he's like, well, we should like do a one-man show. I should do a one-man show as his character was named Dorothy. I should do a one-woman show as Dorothy, or I could do Ophelia and Hamlet, and I could do Eleanor Roosevelt. He's like, oh no. He's like, I can relate to a woman. He's like, you're not a woman, okay? You're not a woman. Okay, you're playing a woman. You're not a woman. And no, but I was like, no, you're not a woman. Okay. I just love the exchange between those two. They had such wonderful chemistry as agent, client. Sidney Pollack was wonderful in that role. Don't you think so, Brad?
I thought it was great. I mean, I think he was a really good, strong actor overall. There was a episode, I forgot what it was, it's years ago. He was in an episode of The Sopranos where he played like a patient who was a doctor, and he came around talking. I don't know, it was Tony's character talking to him, saying what medicines he should use. Like, he had a strong performance in that as well. And I just think that's really inspiring, because that's what I aim to be, an actor, a really strong actor, strong as a director as I am an actor, as strong as I am, a writer, have strength in all those things. And that's why I love, like, one of my favorite directors is Orson Welles. I thought he was a beast as a director. I thought he was a beast as an actor. But he had some strong, really, really strong performance. I thought he did really well. In that process, and I wish he was alive just to ask like what his process was, like what it was like to direct himself in a scene, walking up and down the street, what that process was like to be in the scene, but still have an eye that's focusing on the directorial aspects as well. I always like to love to see how people approach that duality.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
again, hats off to Dustin Hoffman. I think Dustin Hoffman's interpretation was magnificent, both as the Sandy, the Dorothy character in the soap opera, and as the Michael Dorsey character. Like the fact that he was able to inhabit the duality of those two characters so magnificently. I was like, I know this dude. I know this dude got an Oscar for this performance. Like, come on. Like, I know, but he didn't. He was nominated. I was like, who beat him out? Who?
Right.
Who?
I was just about to, yeah, because we talked about that, but I was just about to ask that because I'm about to see. I was just about to click on to see who won Best Actor. Okay. And okay, Cherries of Fire won Best Picture. I'm about to see what won Best Picture that year. So I think Cherries of Fire won Best Picture. I'm not sure. I'm trying to see who won Best Actor.
Jessica Lange won Best Actress for this role.
Wait a minute. She did? Okay.
She won Best Actress, but he didn't win Best Actor?
Yeah.
That's weird. That's very weird. But Dustin Hoffman did win a Golden Globe for it.
Well, I see. Well, my fault. Let me see. I see. Okay, in a leading role, they say that Katharine Hepburn won for a leading role as a woman. I mean, I'm trying to see if.
Are you looking at IMDb?
I'm looking at
because according to
I'm looking at this some page, the Academy Award page, the 54th Academy Awards 1982. Unless I'm wondering if she won 83. The movie came out 82.
You look at 83.
Okay, right.
So she won an Oscar for Best Actress in a Supporting Role. The picture won. Let me see. Sidney Pollack was nominated under Best Picture. Dustin Hoffman, Best Actor in a Leading Role. I'm like, who beat him? But Dustin Hoffman did win Best Actor, Golden Globe Best Actor. Jessica won Best Actress in Golden Globe. It won Best Picture Comedy. Easy. Dustin Hoffman also won a BAFTA, the British Film Award.
Right.
Jessica, she racked up every award possible.
No doubt.
She got a BAFTA too. She was great. But that doggone Dustin Hoffman.
Okay, so Ben Kingsley won for Gandhi. That's what it was.
Oh, against Dustin Hoffman?
Yeah, I think he won for Best Actor. I think Gandhi won Best Picture too, right? I see Gandhi.
Probably, because this was nominated, but it didn't win.
They had some hellified movies then. I mean, Gandhi was long as fuck. I mean, I saw it in the movies there. It was a long ass movie. And I see that Lou Gossett won for Best Supporting Actor for An Officer and a Gentleman. They had some hits out that year, man.
And I know, in 83? That's 83?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was very moved by Dustin Hoffman's performance. You know, when I watched Tootsie, it just makes me feel so good. It makes me feel so proud. It heightens my sense of pride for being an actor, right? Because it really
no doubt, yeah.
It really illustrates our world as actors, like the triumphs, the failures, the learning, the rejection, it really, and being unemployed and
right.
Going back and forth with the director because you don't agree with their interpretation. Like, it really captured what it is to be an actor, and particularly in New York, but just on GP.
You know what else? Another thing that jumped out, I guess it could happen now, but the number of times where they said that they were filming, somebody spilled something on the film, we have to shoot this all again. Somebody spilled something on the film, we have to shoot the whole thing live. Now, admittedly, that happened one time. We were shooting like a short film, and I was uploading something to the cloud, and it didn't upload to the cloud, so we had to shoot all that shit again, right? But I'm guessing that wouldn't happen as much today. But but then again, who knows? But I thought I thought that would drive me crazy. I guess it would be what it would be. But it's something, we shot something and something happened to the film. We have to shoot it all over again. That would be a trip.
Oh my God, I would be pissed. I remember that scene. I do remember. You know what else was interesting about this scene? Like when Dustin Hoffman was interacting with the old man actor,
Right.
and the old man actor had become so accustomed to reading from the prompter as opposed to just living in a moment. And Dustin Hoffman kept pushing his face to like, I want you to look at me when you're talking to me. Like he started ad-libbing stuff.
Yeah.
Because he noticed that he was not a good actor, and he had become so accustomed to just like winging it. And Dustin was like, "No, you're gonna look me in my eye when you communicate, when you talk to me as an actor." And then also how Dustin Hoffman as the Dorothy character started ad-libbing and made the script more interesting, right? It made the character more interesting, and like grew a big fan base because of his ad-libs, not because what was written in the script. Remember?
Right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And that's such. I know it's all maybe the ad libs were scripted, but like in real life, that's like a skill set in and of itself. You know, like what they love about doing improv. When I was like doing improv, and I think without a question, when I did improv, my improv helped my I want to say my regular acting. You want to say it that my more scripted acting, and vice versa. But that's a skill set in and of itself. Just being able to go boom, just off the cuff, off the cuff with something. So yeah, it was real. It was well done. I mean, that was just looking back. Like I said, I would have been, depending when it was, I would have been just about to turn 13 back then. That was a heck of a year for movies. I mean, Gandhi, An Officer and a Gentleman. I don't think I've actually seen Sophie's Choice from beginning to end. Meryl Streep won Best Actress for Sophie's Choice, and Jessica Lange won Best Supporting Actress for Tootsie. That was a heck of a year for movies.
Okay, yeah. So 82 was popping as far as movies was concerned. The direction to me in Tootsie was excellent. The acting was excellent. The writing was excellent. I like the music really served the story. Again, the cinematography was cool. It was standard, but it wasn't that kind of film. It wasn't that kind of film where you do like fancy cinematography. You know what I'm saying?
No. Yeah.
It was the story was the star, right?
Right.
And the acting and the directing and the pacing and all that was really star. In New York City, I love movies that are filmed in New York. Although I'm from Chicago, but I do love films that are set in New York, not in Canada. No shade to Canada.
One thing I'll always wonder from a technical point of view, and I'm still trying to, I'm not a DP or a sound person by any stretch. Just doing by default because on the indie tip, right? And I wonder like how they, and especially back then, I'm sure the technology would have been a little bit different, how they got the sound so clean on the streets of New York. Like I wonder, like boom mic, whatever the case may be. I wonder if they went in, they did like what you call it?
Did the sound mixer,
right? All that stuff like that. I mean, I just think that's dope. I'm gonna get on that point. We had that level of expertise where you have quality sound, quality everything else, just that adds to the overall production of the film.
Yeah, and if you think about it too, like when you're doing an independent film, the sound mixer, as far as the expense line items, that's usually the most expensive line item to me, because generally speaking, and at least in my experience, people who shot my movies, they had their own camera already, right? And they would work for a discounted fee, thank God. But a sound, in my experience, sound mixers, they seldom work for a discounted fee. Like they don't care what your budget is. Like, nope.
Right.
They come with their sound mixer, just like the cinematographers come with their own camera. But I find that sound mixers aren't as flexible as cinematographers are. Is that your experience or no?
Well, a lot of times so far, most of the things I've been doing, like a few things we were doing, I was trying to shoot this movie called Chase, years ago that didn't pan out just yet. Well, it probably won't pan out. Let's be honest, right? But anyway, our DP was also our sound guy, Daryl. He did the
Oh,
DP work. He also had his own
yeah.
DP equipment. I mean, sound equipment. So he did both. So that was highly effective. But then on other stuff, different shorts we've been working on lately, having my own camera, Black Magic Pocket camera, having my own sound recorder, so on and so forth. A lot of things we're just shooting on our own, based on the budget, based on not being able to afford a DP, so on and so forth. So a lot of times it's as simple as having like a lav mic, a lavalier mic sometimes, and then otherwise looking at ways to hide the Zoom recorder in a space while we're shooting the film, so it's not picked up by the camera. So doing things like that, and then using, and no plug to Adobe, but I use Adobe Premiere for editing. Adobe Premiere does a good job. You can clean up a lot of stuff in Adobe just in basic settings it has, which is highly effective. But even with that being the case,
Even exterior shots.
exterior shots may be a little bit more challenging, and that's what I'm saying. Exterior shots, like in terms of like blocking out the street and the wind, stuff like that, may be a little bit more challenging. Definitely interior shots.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's one thing I look forward to improving. I mean, it's always about the idea of improving as an artist, improving as a filmmaker, is shooting stuff outside and getting quality sound outside just as clean and crisp as we do, inside, and being aware of things, of getting what do you call it? Getting room tone, stuff like that, getting room tone. A lot of things, a lot of times we're just moving and running and gunning. We don't get room tone, right? And it can make a difference in terms of how the film sounds.
Yes.
But it's one of those type of things. Just as a side note, I always tell people that my viewpoint is don't wait to shoot a film. Go out there, shoot, and you learn. And we've learned a great deal from just going out there and shooting in terms of doing some DP work, doing some sound work. Even though I'm not an expert and don't consider myself a DP by any stretch, by actually going out there doing it, you learn something about the process itself, which is really great.
Yeah, I think so. I think definitely doing it, like riding a bike, the more you do it, the more you learn what not to do, what to do. And,
Right.
observing film, really, really immerse yourself in watching films and watching it for all those components. I'm always stunned when I talk to people who are filmmakers and they're like so many movies they've never seen before and they don't, it's like, really?
Right. Right. Real quick, China. On a side note, have you seen the movie? I got to finish looking at. I'm gonna start over again. I think it's called White Tiger on Netflix.
Okay.
I think it's an Indian movie. I was looking at it the other day. From what I understand, it's about a dude who's in a lower caste, trying to work his way up in a higher caste as a driver. But just the first couple minutes of the film, it's just like it has a nice beat and flow, nice cuts and edits to it. So I'm gonna start it over again and look at it. Maybe we can talk about that if you check it out. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. I would love to do another film reaction on that. But
Right. No doubt.
so to wrap up this film reaction Zoom collab on Tootsie, starring Dustin Hoffman, Jessica Lange, and directed by the great Sidney Pollack. Also, he was an actor in it as well. So I'm doing a new thing now. So if we were to give it, we're going to break it down 5 stars. 5 stars for a movie in totality, 5 stars for the acting. And let's say, when I say act, I mean like the ensemble, the principal people. Cinematography, the acting, and the movie itself. So that's any category, you can go ahead and rate it from out of 5 stars. What would you give the movie overall?
I would give the movie overall a five stars. Um, and it's real quick because it is such an iconic movie, and I think it was great that I really hadn't seen the movie in a while, and it's like, okay, oh yeah, this is this is why this movie to me stands the test of time. Now I'm 50 years old. Somebody younger may be like, but I thought it was. I would give it 5 stars. I would give, what else was that a category?
The acting from the principal characters in the supporting.
From the principal character, I thought the entire ensemble was really strong. From the main lead, Jessica Lange, Dustin Hoffman, to the supporting characters, I thought they were really strong. And I would give a 5 to the writing as well. I mean, I thought it was a well-written script, the writing and the directing. And especially from the standpoint of Sidney Pollack directing the piece and actually being in it as well and doing them both very effectively. You know, I would give them all 5 stars. Yeah, across the board.
Yeah.
Real quick, and this side note, I know wrapping up. I wonder, and we can talk about it later, how many of the actors had like theater training as well. You know what I'm saying? As actors, but I just was wondering about that.
Yeah. And so for me, I'm gonna give it 5 cinematography, you know, I don't know, 4 stars. Or, you know, it was cool, it was standard. But everything else, 5 stars. 5 stars. Easy.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Writing, directing, 5 stars, like hands down. No discussion.
No doubt. True that.
I think from my memory that all of them have come from theater. I know Jessica Lange and Sidney Pollack for sure came from theater.
Right. You know, and no doubt, I know Dustin Hoffman did as well.
Okay, so
right. So, and I kind of get that. I kind of get that sense. There's something about the energy of the piece that, you know, I kind of get that sense. Right.
Not to be an acting snob, but I guess I am a low key. Sometimes, many times rather, I can tell when the principal and supporting actors have had theater, and I can tell when they haven't. Because I love watching interviews of the cast, right? And a number of times when I'm like, oh, they haven't had theater, and now I'll find out later on they haven't had theater. And when the ones who are really bringing it, and there are exceptions where people who've never had theater and they know how to convey emotions and thoughts very clearly and impactfully. So I'm not the exceptions, but generally speaking, the people who are usually the strongest actors on film have had theater experience.
You know what? I think so too. To be a theater, you know, I love film, but I love theater. And I think that part of I think we talked about this before, you know, in theater, many times, no matter how small the house is, you have to project out there for the audience to see, to hear you, so on and so forth. And it might be easier to turn it down when you have to, as opposed to trying to rev it back up if you don't have the theater experience. And I think that even though film and theater are different beasts, that there's something about, especially if you do a run of a play over and over again, that will suit you well for being on set and having to do a scene over and over and over again, even though many times in film, you don't shoot in order, so to speak. And even with that, I think many times you get a sense of shooting out of order, doing things out of order in the rehearsal process, because you may work on this scene this day, work on this scene another day. So I just think that from my perspective, to all you young folks listening, I think theater is like an amazing foundation, acting foundation, to do other things from that foundation.
Yeah, and I think lastly, I'll just say, I think that's exactly why Dustin Hoffman's character, Michael Dorsey, was so magnificent, because he had both theater and film experience. Right. And that's why he was able to really soar, and he was very committed to the craft, and it showed up, and that's why he booked the role of Dorothy in the soap opera.
No doubt.
So I hope y'all enjoyed this film reaction Zoom collab on a wonderfully classic comedy film, Tootsie, that was released in 1982, starring Dustin Hoffman and Jessica Lange, directed by Sidney Pollack. I love that movie so much. Check it out if you get an opportunity. It's on Amazon Prime, and I believe you can also stream it on YouTube. And Brad, you want to leave anything, say anything about what you're doing and how people can reach out to you?
Let's see. Well, I have a podcast called the Harold and Brad Windy City Filmmakers Podcast. Matt love to my boy Harold. He's having a surgery today, so my thoughts are with him. And China Colston is a special guest in one of the episodes. You can check that out on the Harold and Brad Windy City Filmmakers Podcast. Type that in on YouTube. We're also on Instagram, and we have some great interviews with actors. They have a connection, actor, writer, director. They have a connection rather to Chicago, and you can check us out there. You can check out our website too, www.landofmiseryfilms.com, to find out more about different films and stuff we've been doing.
Say it one more time, Brad. Your website?
www.landofmiseryfilms.com.
Beautiful.
Films with an S. Yep.
Okay, great. And of course, I'm China L. Colston. You can go to my website, which is www.chinalcolston.com. You can download or stream my movie Sweet Thing. You can also buy my Sweet Thing film t-shirts using the Cash app, China had $ China L. Colston, and check out my movie Dark Seed on Amazon Prime. All right.
Dope.
If you enjoyed our discussion, take care. And please, if under the video, if you've seen Tootsie, please include how the movie impacted you, the pros and the cons. If it was only pros like myself, please include in the comment under this Instagram or YouTube. All right. Enjoy your night. Peace. Chinese.
Peace.